This race weekend edition focuses on Francis Gonzales, who emerged champion in the bronze class of the 2021 E-Racing GP Global Edition. Motorsports enthusiasts are spoiled for choice in the digital age. They can state their thirst for racing on the track, real or virtual. Much like Francis Gonzales, newly crowned bronze class champion of the 2021 E-Racing Grand Prix. Francis began competing in the Philippine All-Across Championship Series, or PAX, back in 2017.
2017 is where I began my journey in motorsports. I started the Philippine Autocross Series back in September, and I competed there under the beginner's class.
But even while racing in PAX, where he began appearing regularly on the podium for individual classes, Francis discovered sim racing.
I found out about Sim Racing Pilipinas when they set up a booth at Bonifacio High Street. That was during Father's Day. I went in and tested their sim, and I asked if there are any events available in the future, and then that's how I began.
The year before COVID-19 pandemic shut down motorsports, Francis was competing full-time in PAX while finding time to participate in sim races. So when the 2020 motorsport season was shut down by the pandemic and forced people to stay at home, Francis had all the time to practice for and compete in sim racing.
I spend 2.5 hours a day at the sim trying to master the lines and then braking zones. And tire management is also a key component here because we are all running at ×2 tire wear on all races.
These days, Francis spends at least 2.5 hours on his sim kit every day, honing his craft. And it has paid off this 2021 season of the ERGP. ERGP has 4 classes: copper, bronze, silver, and gold.
The copper class is actually the grassroots ranking of ERGP, and then you will rack up positions, and you will be promoted if you are top 2 for that particular class. And then in order to qualify, drivers have to enter a weekly leaderboard challenge, and then the 30 fastest drivers will be invited to drive for all 4 classes.
Francis started off slow, missing out on the podium of round 1, held on virtual Red Bull Ring, and round 2 on the virtual Hockenheim Ring, finishing 4th in the bronze class in both.
I remembered Hockenheim, which was a tough race actually. Last 1.5 minutes of the race, my left front tire blew up at the Mercedes Stadium, and then the gap that I built up from the leader was around 9 seconds. It continued to drop down very fast, but good thing it's already the final lap. And what I did is just drove the car slowly and to keep my head down, and all I have to think is the checkered flag. It was also my first victory.
The third round saw Francis finishing first in the bronze class racing in the simulation of Watkins Glen. Round 4 at Nürburgring saw Francis drop to second. Round 5, the final race of the season at Circuit Zandvoort, Francis won the bronze class race and the championship. Francis Gonzales is not the only Filipino making a presence at the ERGP.
There are a couple of Filipinos across all classes, and a particular name, Gav Quintos, is currently competing in the silver class. And then my fellow colleagues in bronze, one of them is the young Axel Nokong, who's a go-karter.
Now that he has earned a championship in the tough and competitive E-Racing Championship Series, what advice does Francis give to those who also want to succeed in sim races?
Sim racing for me is the closest thing I can do right now during the pandemic. And sim racing is easy to set up. You don't need to pay for an arm and a leg as compared to the real car. And sim racing actually allows you to restart when you crash during practice, and then once you get the hold of the drivability of the car you're driving, you just have to practice racecraft, then tire management, and as well as memorizing the braking zones, and finally consistency. Consistency is the most important element when it comes to sim racing.
The COVID-19 pandemic has opened a whole new world for local grassroots racers who've taken to e-racing to save their thirst for motorsports. E-racing opens a lot of possibilities, maybe even a career in e-motorsports for local talent.